With a massive library, the Nintendo Entertainment System is legitimately one of the greatest video game consoles of all time, if not the greatest. And arguments can be made elsewhere, of course, but the NES is kind of where I cut my teeth, kind of where I started. And for me, it's always fun to go back and look at the games on that system because the library is so vast and so fantastic. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Square Pegs. I'm Jay. Glad you're here. A couple of months ago, actually, might be even longer than that now. It's probably over a year ago. There'll be a note down here at the bottom if that's a fact. I did a video about the 10 games, well, I said it was 10 games, I lied, it was significantly more than 10, the games I would use to rebuild my NES collection, and it's kind of something that I actually had to do. I sold all of my retro games. It was something where I had to kind of start from scratch. I had only kept Star Tropics and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, and yeah, I had to rebuild from the bottom up. And after recently rewatching that video, I started thinking about it, and I was like, well, those are the ones, you know, because it's not something like I had just picked them up. It was just, these are the ones that, of the ones I own, these would be the ones I would add to my collection first if I had to start over again. So now we're looking at the next up games. What are the games that are really my NES collection mainstays? Ones that I think are necessary for a collection to have, ones that I think are really, really, really fun and honestly kind of superlative in what they do. So I've got 10 more games here. We're going to look at them. We're going to start things off, and we're going to kick it off with one of the... That was loud. And we're going to kick it off with one of the single greatest puzzle games of all time, my preferred version of this game, and it is, of course, Tetris. So I love Tetris. Tetris is legitimately incredible. It's one of the greatest video games ever made. It is something that kind of introduced me to puzzle gaming. It was something that I had been around puzzle games, and I'd seen puzzle games. It wasn't really something that I was curious about or was interested in playing until Tetris on the Game Boy. And I didn't think you were going to get better than Game Boy Tetris because, I mean, let's face it, it's kind of perfect, right? It's an excellent title, it's perfect for that console, and it's just super fun. But when I got Tetris on the NES, and importantly, this Tetris and not Tengen Tetris, it was something that just opened my eyes to what this game could be. The sound was better, the visuals were better. It was something that, giving it that blast of color, giving it that look, that kind of like all-encompassing visual upgrade just really made a huge difference for me. And it's something that to me it's perfect. Like it's such a simple concept and such an easy to grasp idea that it can't help but be successful. And there's plenty of fantastic puzzle games on the NES, and Tetris is what led me to all of them. Like, I had played Kickle Cubicle before I played Tetris, but it wasn't something I was really interested in, and now it's one of my favorite NES games. Same thing with something like Adventures of Lolo. It was all because of Tetris. Tetris opened that gateway and introduced me and brought me to so many puzzle games that I still love to this day. Up next, a game from Capcom and the newest game that I've added to my collection here on the NES, one I actually just picked up a couple of weeks ago when I was over in Detroit. This is Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. I love this game. I loved this game when I was younger. I'm just very bad at it. And I know for some people this is one of those kind of set it and forget it and just play it games, but I don't know what it is about this game, but I get so anxious playing it, and I get overwhelmed. I don't know why. It's stupid. I can beat any of the Mega Man games, but for some reason Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers just eludes me, and I don't understand it. But I'm not upset by that. Like, it's not something where I look at it and I go, this game is terrible because of that. Quite the contrary. I actually think it's fantastic. I think it's a brilliant idea. And it might be something that I've never beaten just because it was something that I didn't actually own when I was younger. I rented it an awful lot. And it was something that I just never really picked up. I ended up getting it in my 20s, but at that point I was playing so much PlayStation 2 and Xbox stuff that it wasn't anything I really gave a lot of focus on. So happy to have it now, happy to have it back in my collection. And this was actually based on Riff's video where he was talking about his favorite NES games, and kind of remembered how much I loved it. And finding it at that shop in a spectacular condition and just something that needed to be added back to my collection made me really happy. Or needed to be added to my collection, I guess, because I never really played it when I was in my 20s. But it's an amazing game. If you've never played it, you should, because it's kind of a great example of what Capcom was excellent at and what Capcom really excelled at on the NES. It's a brilliant title. I should also say, speaking of Capcom, that you're not going to see any Mega Man on this list. The last one I gave you, Mega Man's 1, 2, and 5, I don't need to say 3, 4, or 6 need to be on this list. They would be. I would have already bought them. Those would have been the next ups, because it's something that he's my favorite character. That's my favorite video game franchise. I would have absolutely picked it up, and I would already have it. So just consider those honorable mentions. Next up, though, and this is one I recently learned how to pronounce because, yeah, thanks, John Riggs. I had no idea that this is how it was supposed to be pronounced, and That's Faxanadu. Faxanadu, for the record, significantly more fun to say. Faxanadu is a really interesting kind of side-scrolling RPG platformer hack and slash. It wears a lot of hats, and usually in cases like that on the NES, you would find that the hats don't necessarily fit terribly well, but with Faxanadu, it works. It's a wonderful game. For something that has an incredibly limited color palette, like when you start playing the game, it's all browns and tans. It's like, it's what if khaki shorts came to life, or what if my jersey came to life here, my hoodie here came to life. But it was something that, for something that looked boring and looked like it was going to be very bland and blah, when you actually get into the game and you kind of get into the meat and potatoes of the game and the combat and the level design and the platforming aspects of it, it sings, man. It's such a wonderful title, and I just love this one. This was one of those games that when I started building my NES collection back up, it was one that I had to have complete in box. It's one I found at a convention a couple of years. I think I might have found it at Corkuscon. I don't remember. Go back and watch any of my convention videos from the last few years, and you'll find out when I picked it up. And you'll know more than I will. But I just love it. It was one of those games to me that was just necessary, and just such a fantastic title, and something that to me is just a perfect fit for so many NES collections. Like, even people that aren't fan of RPGs, this has RPG elements, but it's not a heavy RPG game. It's not like diving into a Dragon Warrior or a Final Fantasy. It's something that, yeah, you can buy some equipment, you can upgrade your character here and there, but it wasn't like a heavy role-playing game, and the combat was really fun, and the level designs were great, and the enemy designs are amazing too. Like, there's just so much going for this title. It's just fantastic. All right, the first Konami game on the list, and there's a few on here, and this one is one I just picked up recently, and I got this at GamePon here in Kalamazoo, recently opened. Amazing to have a fantastic used game store so close to home. Like, it's something where I can be there in 10 minutes, and the staff is great, the selection is wonderful, and it's just really cool to be able to go and be able to pick stuff up from them. And it is Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse. Never owned this game growing up. My favorite Castlevania is Castlevania 2. I personally adore that title. But Castlevania 3 was always something that intrigued me, and it was one that, kind of like Rescue Rangers, that I rented frequently when I was younger. And I wanted to own it, but I just never did. It was just something I didn't pull the trigger on. So to be able to get it now, and I actually picked up the first Castlevania at the same time, so I have 1, 2, and 3 now on the NES, which was... 12-year-old Jay is ecstatic that happened. It was something where to have those 3 games, and to have 3 games that play so differently from each other, even though they all like kind of mainline the same concepts and the same kind of like creative approach to what the game is, the gameplay is so wildly divergent between the 3 of them that it's a really fun way to watch the evolution of the franchise. And then when you get to Super Castlevania 4 on the SNES, you really see them really hit their stride and really start to kind of go in different directions and try new things that are wildly experimental. And all of that, of course, led to the greatest Castlevania game of all time, Symphony of the Night. It is... The evolution of what we see in Symphony of the Night starts here with Dracula's Curse and with Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest. Between those 2 games, that's where we ended up. And those are the games that led to those incredible Metroidvania experiences in the Castlevania universe. And I'm so thankful to own this now, and so happy to have it, and so excited to actually be able to sit down and play it long-term on an NES. Like, I've had it on the Castlevania collection, I've beaten it there before, but to have it here and have the cartridge and to be able to play on my top loader with the Dogbone controller, a chef's kiss, man. It's so perfect. All right, we're going to do a... Nope, not that one. Because we want to interrupt the Konamis back-to-back. So we're going to do a... hold on. I've got to reorganize here. This is the behind-the-scenes stuff, folks. It's super-duper fun. You're going to love it, kids. Trust me. All right, a couple of licensed games back-to-back now. If you guys have been on the channel for any amount of time, you know I love me a licensed game. And this is truly, in my eyes, one of the absolute best on the platform. The NES was just replete with fantastic and horrific licensed titles, and I've got a few of the bad ones in my collection as well that just hold a soft spot in my heart. But this one in particular is amazing, and it is based on one of my favorite films. And my favorite part about this game is how incredibly solid it is, because this could work with any kind of setting, any kind of character, any kind of protagonist, any kind of layout, but the fact that it is based on Gremlins 2, the new batch, just makes it so much more entertaining. And that concept and what was developed and created for this game works so much better as a Gremlins game, because getting to play as Gizmo and to be able to get all the different power-ups and different abilities and to dress like Rambo and all that stupid crap, God, it's just perfect, man. Like, it's such a fun game, and it's got such a unique gameplay style and such a wonderful challenge to it that I think it stands apart from so many games on the NES, because so many licensed games just kind of lean into they're either just kind of the schlock like Back to the Future 1 and 2, or there's something it's just a side-scrolling platformer. We'll have one of those here in a second, which is excellent, but something like the Crash Test Dummies, which is a platformer, but it's a terrible platformer. This one goes isometric, and you get to move all over the screen, and the enemies are constant and frequent and everywhere, and everything in the game looks amazing, and it's Sunsoft, so you know the soundtrack is badass, and it is. It is such a wonderful game, and something that, to me, really adds to the film. Like, I think that's something that I look for with a licensed game, when it's based on a property that is an ongoing form of entertainment, like a film or a cartoon or a comic book or something like that. If it's something that adds to that mythos and makes that mythos more entertaining and more interesting and more intriguing, I think you have succeeded. And they did that with Gremlins 2 here on the NES. In that same vein, we're going back to Konami now, and this is one to me that honestly is one of the best platformers on the console, and I never played it until Riggs told me about it, and that is Tiny Toon Adventures. I loved Tiny Toons growing up, despite the fact that I couldn't remember Dizzy Devil's name when I originally talked about it on the console, and I have been raked over the coals for it. I believe I was told that I needed to put some respect on Dizzy Devil's name at one point, and y'all need hobbies. That's all I'm going to say. But this is one that to me is one of the strongest platformers on the NES, and it's something that shouldn't be as good as it is. I mean, it's Konami, so it should be. We know that they did great stuff back in the day, but this is one that they could have phoned in. This is one that could have been just slapdash and just taken care of from an old game and just slapped a new coat of paint on it with the Tiny Toon Adventures characters on it. And maybe they did. I don't actually know the development history of this title, but what we got was instead an incredibly creative game with some fantastic level designs, different characters you're able to swap to, different Tiny Toon characters. There's Dizzy, Plucky, and I can't remember the other one off the top of my head, and I'll put a note here at the bottom, but to be able to switch to them and to be able to use their abilities and play as them as you go and then be able to hot swap back to Buster was such a fun experience and such a wonderful way to play a game. And I mean, granted, yeah, it's kind of like Castlevania in that regard, or Castlevania 3 in that regard, where you're able to kind of use the different abilities and swap to the different characters, but it was so well done and so much fun. I just love it. It's such a great title, and one that, you know, it's not super expensive, and it's to me, it's one of those kind of hidden gems on the console because it's a licensed title that people would just kind of overlook, and you shouldn't, because it's excellent. All right, up from HAL Laboratories now, the guys behind Kirby and things like that. This is one that the light turned off. So we're going to get a little bit of different lighting here now on the side of me. The battery died on my light. This is one to me that is a really excellent game, and one that I think is overlooked and underappreciated on the NES. And this is one that I know I share a love of it with Gary from Rock Solid Productions. This is Kabuki Quantum Fighter. A very basic kind of idea on paper, right? You're a Kabuki dancer, you're in a cyber world, you fight things with your hair, you're able to jump and kind of do ninja moves. It's like, it's kind of Ninja Gaiden on steroids, I guess, in a way, but the things that happen in the game and the movement and the traversal really add something unique to the concept. It really adds something unique to the overall experience that I think would have been lost if they didn't try something new here with Kabuki Quantum Fighter, because let's face it, it's a weird idea, right? Like being a Kabuki dancer in a cyber environment, fighting like hackers, or not really hackers, but fighting viruses and things like that is a really, really strange concept that really, really works. And it is a marvelous title that is incredibly fun and not one I hear a lot of people talk about. And I think that is a shame on the NES, because it is a massively fun title and just something that, to me, if more people played it, they would be questioning why they hadn't played it before. Over now to Konami, again, this is number 3, the third Konami game on the list. And this is one that I share a love of with my friend Andy from Pac-Man Case. I fondly remember watching an entire live stream of his where he was playing this game and being able to talk to him and just shoot the crap with him, which I thought was fantastic and super fun. And it's Jackal. Jackal, if you are not familiar, is a shoot 'em up. It's a shooter. But it's a different kind of shooter because it's not one like Gradius or anything like that or Xevious. It's something where you're in a Jeep and you're able to drive all over the place with this Jeep and use your different weapons to fight. And it's awesome. There's enemies everywhere. There's huge boss battles at the end. The level designs are great. The combat is challenging. The music is fun. It's just such a solid title and such a signature experience on the NES, and it's something that we've seen duplicated and cloned and repeated and used everywhere since then. Like, it's something that, like, you can see influences on things like Twisted Metal from this game based on just the vehicular combat that was inherent to this one. It's such a solid game, and this is one I remember when I originally got rid of this. I had this back in my late 20s, early 30s, and I'd sold it. I think it was right after I had lost my position at Electronic Arts. And I was just getting rid of my stuff because I didn't need it. I needed money to take care of my family. And it was something where I remember putting a post on Facebook and selling it. And my friend Corey picked it up, who I worked with at EA. And he was so excited that I was willing to sell him this for like dirt cheap because he had such great memories of it as a kid. And to be able to see him love it and continue to love it, and to see all of my other friends that have played it love it, it's just one of those amazing experiences. And just like that shared community and that shared kind of tribal experience of being with your friends and loving a game like that can't be topped. This one won't take long to discuss because I think this is, any version of this, by the way, either this version or the original version, is a necessity in any collection and a necessity for any collector of the NES, and it's Punch-Out. Now, I don't own Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, and I don't really have a reason for it. It's just because I've kind of had Punch-Out with Mr. Dream for so long that I've never really felt the need to pick Mike Tyson's Punch-Out back up. It's something where, yeah, it's great, it's wonderful, it's excellent, it's an all-timer, but just as good. It's just a little bit different. I will eventually have Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, I'm sure, but for now, I've got Punch-Out with Mr. Dream, and it works. It's something that gave me one of my favorite video game franchises. It's something that gave me a love of arcade sports gaming, and it's something that holds up. Like, the concepts that are in Punch-Out that are used in there are things that we still see in boxing games to this day. Specifically arcade boxing games. Like, Punch-Out plays so much like Ready to Rumble. That's not to this day. That's back in the early 2000s, dumbass. So they extended far beyond when it was originally released. Oh god, I'm so old. It's such a really excellent title though, and anyone should play it. It's available everywhere, especially on Switch Online. If you have a Nintendo Switch and you've never played it, like if you're a younger kid and you've never played Punch-Out, consider it. It's fantastic. Although if you're younger, you're not watching my videos. All right, last game on the list, and this is one that I love. It is legitimately one of my all-time favorite NES games, and one that I had kind of given up hope on getting because I never see it at a decent price. And luckily, I found one with a damaged label, and I don't really care about an ugly game. I don't care about an ugly label. I do care about things like a rental sticker. So I actually kind of like when games are a little bit beat up and marked up and have names written on them and stuff like that. And I love a rental sticker. And getting one as beautiful as that is on one of my favorite all-time games, that is such a great title, and that is a little bit pricey. Not as pricey as its sequel, mind you, but it is a little bit pricey. It's Power Blade. So this is what my spine on this looks like. It's beat up. It's wore out. And that's okay, because the game still plays. Still runs great. It's just the sticker's a little screwed up. I don't mind that. I really don't, especially for something that was such a signature memory for me growing up and one of my favorite games. Like, this rivaled Mega Man for me as far as favorite games on the NES. I played this constantly. I loved it. And it's something that I don't think there's a lot of appreciation for Power Blade. Now, there's a lot of appreciation for Power Blade 2 because its monetary value is through the roof, and rightfully so. It's a fantastic game as well. Very different than this one, but it's something where the value and the investment in it is kind of notorious at this point. It's like a little Samson at this point, you know, right? Like, it's something that's very expensive and very, very hard to find. So it's like finding a holy grail. Power Blade isn't hard to find. It's just, it's at that level of price where it's just high enough where you're at a convention or you're at a store or something like that where you're going to go, I don't know. And I did that for a while until I found this one, and it was at a fantastic price. It was exactly what I wanted, and seeing the rental sticker on the back just sealed the deal. It's a great Mega Man style game though, and as silly a concept as it is to be fighting robots and bad guys with boomerangs, it's awesome. It's absolutely wonderful. Those are the mainstays, the ones that to me are the necessary games for any NES collection to have. Let me know in the comments down below, what are your favorites? Be sure to check out the link in the description or on screen right now where I give you my list of games that I would have used to start up my collection. There's also a bunch of other NES stuff. I'll link the playlist on screen right now so you guys can take a look at that. Until next time, folks, I've been Jay. I appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me today. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up. The engagement helps the channel out. As always, please subscribe. We're almost to 20,000, and it just tickles me that we're that close. Until next time, remember to play more games, stay square, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.